blocks the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
So all set.
Blocking the fire hydrant.
And Chris, should we get Krista or no? After?
Yeah, you can bring her up, yeah.
Now? Or just come on up. Yeah. Okay. So who do I look to? I'll just get going.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Krista. You all set?
I can stand with you.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. Thank you, Angelo, for opening your home to us earlier this morning, for sharing your story with me and my colleague, Minister Bill Walker. I'm pleased to have Ontario's Minister of Government and Consumer Services here in Northumberland, Peterborough South, to make a very important announcement, an announcement that is truly in the best interest of consumers, the best interest of the people of Ontario. Since being elected in June, I unfortunately have heard countless stories of the difficulties families have faced with Tarion Home Warranty Corporation. In fact, it was this local story from constituent Krista during the campaign, whom you'll hear from later, that profoundly moved me. Krista is not unlike so many families in our community across Ontario who faced immense difficulties over the years seeking solutions from Tarion. Families like those who live right here in Port Hope. It is their collective struggle and through their shared input that has led our government to take decisive action. That is why Minister Walker's announcement today is so important. It's one that I welcome and know my constituents of Northumberland Peterborough South will as well. Now it's my pleasure and distinct honor to turn things over to Minister Bill Walker to provide details for today's great announcement. Thank you for being here today. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure to be here in Port Hope, and I want to acknowledge His Worship Mayor Bob. I passed the test. He challenged me last night, and other councillors, members of the media, and members of the general public. It's truly a pleasure to be here, and I want to say with pride that I've only been a minister for 100 days, and already we're taking action on something that is so important to so many people. Buying a home is an important financial decision for an Ontario family. For most of us, it is the biggest purchase of our lives. Over the past few months, our government has heard from many families with serious concerns around the Tarion Warranty Corporation, who run the province's new home warranty program. In addition, the increase in pre-construction condominium cancellations has not gone unnoticed. Earlier this morning, I met with Krista Schumann and Angelo Zeppieri, both whom and their families have had difficulties dealing with Tarion when making a claim. And I want to thank you both for sharing your stories and all of the time and effort that you've put into this. Their concerns are very similar to what we have heard from many others across our province. And these include, firstly, a conflict of interest currently exists as Tarion is responsible for both new home warranties and regulating the industry. Secondly, that Tarion is difficult to deal with when making a claim, and that's probably an understatement, sadly. And lastly, that Tarion does not do a good job in educating purchasers about a builder's history. I know for those who have not encountered the challenges with Tarion, this may not be a huge issue. But for the many families who have, it is extremely frustrating and stressful, and they have expressed a need for change. For our government, one thing is clear: Tarion is broken. In 2016, the Honourable Justice Douglas Cunningham released an independent report with a number of recommendations to strengthen consumer protection when it comes to Tarion. Many of those recommendations were not accepted. That is, until today. I'm pleased to be here to announce that our government is taking steps to transform Tarion and strengthen consumer protection to put the people of Ontario first. We are creating a separate independent regulator for Tarion from Tarion for new home builders and vendors. The Home Construction Regulatory Authority will be the independent regulator of new home builders and vendors going forward, separating these two functions. We will also introduce legislative amendments to strengthen public confidence and trust in Tarion's governance. These proposed amendments, if passed, would allow the government to require Tarion to publicly disclose executive and board compensation information. They would also require Tarion to move to a more balanced, skills-based board composition. We're also exploring the feasibility of multi-provider insurance model for new home warranties and protections in Ontario. Over the next few months, we will be consulting with key stakeholders on the multi-provider model and anticipate making a decision later this year. The final part of our transformation is to introduce new initiatives that will better inform and protect purchasers of pre-construction condominium projects. Tarion will be updating the Ontario Builder Directory to include information about developers with a history of cancelled projects. It will also be working with the Condominium Authority of Ontario to educate prospective buyers on the purchase process. I understand there are many families who have faced difficulties in the past when seeking a solution from Tarion. And I believe the measures announced today will ensure that Tarion is accountable and transparent to new home buyers. I thank you for your advocacy on this very important issue. While we can't change past decisions, what we can do today, thanks to your efforts, is ensure other families do not face the same difficulties and that consumer protection is paramount. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Walker. I'd like to thank you and the Premier for your decisive action on this, and thank you all of the people here today. Now, I know it's always great to hear from politicians, but it's even better to hear from the people of Ontario, and that's what our government's committed to doing. So it was early in the campaign trail that I heard from Krista Schumann, whose story really moved me, and it's not unlike so many stories of so many constituents of ours and the people across Ontario. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Krista Schumann, who will share a bit about her story.
Thank you. Thanks so much, David. Thank you. If you don't mind, I'm just going to read what I've prepared here for you. Good morning. My name is Krista. I am the widow of Dr. Earl Schumann, who lived and worked as a dentist in Northumberland County for 32 years. We had two occupations. First and foremost, of course, was the dental practice. The second was working for significant changes to the new home warranty program and the tribunal to which citizens appealed adverse decisions made by the warranty program. Our house was constructed 30 years ago by an illegal and unregistered builder. It had many defects. Some were documented by home inspectors and engineers as being hazardous. We were denied compensation from the warranty program. We appealed to the tribunal, to the courts, to the police, to the media, and to many MPPs in and around Ontario. Earl met with all of the relevant authorities in this area and at Queen's Park to tell our story and demand changes. He felt that he did and said all that he could. And after working tirelessly on this monstrous project, spending 27 years of his life, he ended it. I am pleased to be here with MPP Piccini of Northumberland Peterborough South and, of course, Minister Walker from the Ministry of Consumer Services. This is a day that my husband had hoped to see, and I'm extremely proud to say that he worked for decades to help bring us all of us here this morning. Excuse me. How I wish that he could witness this much-needed change to consumer protection for owners of new homes. I am also very grateful to the Toronto and Ottawa area consumer advocacy organizations, which Earl worked often closely. Canadians for Properly Built Homes, Reform Tarion, and Make Tarion Accountable. It is my wish that our government will work with these people and their vast knowledge on this important consumer protection legislation. I met with David Piccini a few days before he was elected MPP in our home constituency. David promised me last June that he would delve into the information I provided about the construction defects in my house and how those problems quickly devolved, revealing serious problems with the Tarion warranty of new homes in Ontario. MPP Piccini was not only interested in my story, he cared about how other families have also been tragically impacted by not only poor construction, but also the fact that subsequent steps to find help under consumer protection legislation have been unfairly inadequate and almost impossible for people to navigate. In its 43 years, the Tarion Home Warranty Program has not served us well, has not helped Ontarians in the way it was expected when it was enacted in 1976. Doug Ford told me that he would fight for people like me who have been wronged by our government to make sure agencies are held accountable to the people they are supposed to serve. Thank you, MPP Piccini and Minister Walker, for this attention to consumer protection, for listening to all of us, and most importantly, for the action that you're taking and must continue to take to reform home warranty protection for consumers of new houses in Ontario. We look forward to continue our work with our government on meaningful changes to protect consumers. In less than 1 year of serving the province of Ontario, our MPP is working to resurrect the many recommendations outlined 2 years ago by Justice Douglas Cunningham, and Minister Walker has taken initial steps to make them into a mandate. My daughter Kaylin, my granddaughters, my family want to be assured that others' lives won't be turned upside down because they chose to live in a newly built house that is given less warranty protection than a car. Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone, for being here this morning. We're just going to stay around for some coffee and to chat. And, oh, sorry, we have some questions. Yeah.
So I want to thank Krista and your late husband Earl for your tenacity and for staying with us. And to Angelo, you're very, very diligent, and the detail that you shared with me this morning is impeccable. I want to also acknowledge MPP Piccini. You know this already, but he is tenacious when he picks something up. I want to use the old term, like a dog with a bone. When he gets it, I can tell you that he's been pushing our ministry to make sure that we do something, and I'm pleased to be here again in Port Hope to look people in the eye and say we are sincere in making a difference, and we will continue. So with that, I will open up to questions that anyone may have.
Right here for any media who would like to do questions.
Well, I see a Boston Bruins fan. I thought maybe there would have been a question, a hard-hitting question from a Boston Bruins fan or the mayor, but he's got the lead. Well, we could have a little rumble in Port Hope here today. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing us to make this announcement here. We are sincere in moving forward. We will continue to look at this situation, to monitor it, and make further changes as necessary. But we want people to know that we are prepared to make changes. We are decisive, and we are trying to stand up and make life better for the people of Ontario. Thank you so much. Your Worship.
I think you can see around us we have a lot of new development, and I think it's a very appropriate time for you to come to our community and share this good news. So thank you very much, and all the people who are going to be coming here and buying these homes are going to feel much more comfortable than they would a year ago.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll continue to be diligent and listen to you as the public to keep giving us the thoughts that you have shared with us. Angelo handed me a list on the way out the door. I think we hit 3 or 4 of the maybe 8 or 10 that he had, but we'll continue to be diligent and look at those and make more improvements as we can. Thank you so much.